All right. How you doing there, folks? Got a good video for you today. You folks are in for a real treat. I haven't made you a video in a while. I know you want me to make you one, so make it you one. So this is going to be a really good video. One of the best ever in history. And as all my videos are. And it's all because of you, because you folks are the best. If anyone ever asks you folks, you tell them we're the best. So, the title of this video is corporations are not job creators. And they aren't. Who's the job creator? Well, corporations say that they're the job creators. But it really isn't true upon inspection. Upon inspection, the job creators are you, the people. How's that? Because corporations get what's called tax subsidies, tax credits, grants, government subsidies, because they wouldn't be able to survive without them. In a true system of capitalism, real true capitalism, the way our system works today in the whole world, without the influx of state capital funds to the corporations, they would not be able to survive, because the way the system works is a vulture system. So they just rape the earth. Everything's for profits. They even set the laws up so that they're obligated to investors to produce a certain amount of profit. So which means they have to find ways, they call them innovations, they have to find ways to maintain that level of profit or exceed it, that they're obligated to deliver to the investors. Some investment dividends pay off every week, some pay every month, some pay every day, some pay once a year or whatever. But they have an obligation by law, fiduciary responsibility, to produce a certain amount of profits to share with their shareholders and stakeholders and everyone else that invests in the company. And even some employees have profit sharing, with some of these corporations. So the corporations will claim that they're the job creators, but as soon as they get one penny in a tax advantage, that's not even a grant, that's not even an endowment or anything like that. As soon as they get $1 in tax credit, you're now the job creator, because who pays the taxes? The people. Do corporations pay taxes? A lot of them don't, and a lot of the bigger ones don't. There's so many different ways that they'll be able to write off things on in their taxes, that a lot of even the bigger corporations don't even pay taxes. Some of them, multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar corporations will actually get a tax refund from the government. You see? So, what makes it even worse, now, people are, really upset, and they're looking for answers as to why, over the last 50, 60, 70 years or so, that their lives are on such a decline, and especially white people. And their complaints are valid. The Trump type people, the Tea Party types, they complain about, how crappy their lives are. And, like, for instance, Steve Bannon, back when Obama first got elected, he was like, he went around on a tirade, going around the United States giving all these little speeches saying that, we have to get rid of Barack Obama, because if we don't, that'll be the end of America. And what he was saying was that what his fear was that Barack Obama, being black, was going to direct state capital away from the white corporations and just give it to black people and poor people. That's what Steve Bannon was worried about, because in that class of person that Steve Bannon comes from, those people rely on um, they rely on the government to give them advantages in a financial sense so that they don't have any risk upon business ventures. So they can just go into any business venture that they want and give it a shot. And so they got a government tax credit to get into the business in the first place. So tax credits work like you apply for tax credits in certain categories of business. You'll get them if you write, the request properly, and then once you get those tax credits, you sell those tax credits to investors who are mostly banks. Okay, so that's how they start these companies up. All right, and then so they got into it with about $1 out of their pocket, nothing. It was paid for by you. They started it, paid for by you, and then if they fail, what happens? They get a bailout from the government. So they got the money from the government to start. If they fail, they get a bailout from the government. If they don't fail and it's profitable, they get all the profits because they're a private company. So you see the shell game here. And so they also, the corporations, if you want to calculate where every single problem in your life comes from. Now, if you watch Oprah and all this other shit, it's always, they basically ultimately wind up blaming you. That it's something you haven't done. You didn't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do meditation and then you didn't follow your workflow properly and somehow, some way, it's your fault. And the person that they got to teach you it's your fault the most, and they rewarded that person tremendously for it, is Oprah. That's Oprah's job in the Illuminati system, to teach you that it's not anything out there. It's inside of you. You're fucked up on the inside, and you need to fix yourself. And that's the way to wealth. And that's why Oprah's rewarded as a billionaire, because she's that fucking stupid to teach you that dumb shit. Okay? And but upon inspection, if you wanted to just pinpoint where all the source of your problems come from in America today, you just go to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan is basically the person that 100% set up the destruction of the United States. Everything that was basically democratic, that served the people, Ronald Reagan put it in motion to destroy that. So that's the democratic institutions, state capital flow, subsidies to just individuals. He killed it all. Then he made it so that black men, almost most of the black males in the United States would lose their good jobs. How do you do that? He did it 2 ways. One is he started setting up during the end of his, he'd been working on it all along, but he started setting up what's called GATT, that's the General Agreement Against Tariffs and Trades, which was a precursor to NAFTA. And what that does is enables, because corporations want more profits, and they always pinpoint why they're not having as many profits as they want. They always pinpoint it down to labor. And so that's you. So they got their money, they started up with their money from you. They built their companies over here in the United States, selling stuff to you. And then when they used you up completely and they can't milk you anymore, they take the jobs and they go overseas to China with them, or Bangladesh, or Vietnam, anywhere, somewhere where there is a population that, as well as an environment that they can go, and they won't have the environmental regulations that they have over here. They don't have to pay. So if they're paying an American worker, average American worker in their factory, $25 an hour. and they want to increase their profits, they can take the entire venture over to another country and pay those people $5 or $6 a week. So what they were paying you, $1,000 a week, now they only got to pay $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a week. And then the people don't have any benefits. They don't have to worry about that. They can have little ancillary token little programs that make it look like they're serving the people, but they're not doing jack shit. It's all a shell game. And corporations are not democratic in structure. They're top tier down tyrannies, basically. They're totalitarian systems. I mean, it's not totally the military level, but it's pretty close to it. You don't dissent against the power structure. You don't. You do what you're told. You shut up. And that's what the corporations. Like I said, that's what they started doing about 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. So it was right after the Depression, and then Franklin Delano Roosevelt came up with this program called the New Deal, whereas he used federal money to give people jobs in the federal government, civil service jobs. He created all kind of programs to get America out of the Depression, and he did it through government stimulus, through tax stimulus, government stimulus of the taxpayers' money back to the taxpayer, away from the rich people, with the corporate owners, away from the rich people. And they didn't want to do it, but he basically explained to them, this is the only way to save capitalism. Then after he explained it a few times, they understood what he was saying, and they went along with it, and it was true. Now you hear a lot of murmuring in the alternative media about, the evils and the perils of capitalism. We need to get rid of capitalism, and it's really true, but it ain't going to happen. So it's absolutely not going to occur, because the way our financial system works globally, capitalism's it. It's it. It's too embedded. Okay? So you're not going to get rid of it. However, you could do exactly what Franklin Delano Roosevelt did and use capitalism to the advantage of everybody. How would you do that? Change the direction and flow of state capital. So you hear the white people always complaining about socialism, communism. As soon as it's Black Lives Matter, Antifa, which just means anti-fascist, as soon as any of that kind of stuff comes up where there's a bunch of black people involved or non-whites involved in organizing, corporations immediately use the media to, through repetition, to indoctrinate the white people that are easy to convince that they're victims, that any organization, period, that's not serving along the corporate lines of totalitarianism or communist or socialist. Now, if you really think about it, the way our system works in America today, the corporate system that runs our United States is global communism. That is the communist system. How do you know that? Let's go back to Lenin. So people love to, Karl Marx was a communist. Karl Marx wasn't even a fucking communist. He wasn't even a member of the Communist Party. He just wrote books criticizing capital, the way it works. He basically, in a nutshell, said that capitalism is a system of alienation and benevolence. And yeah, he did write the Communist Manifesto, but he wasn't it was just an outline of what, at that time, the alternative to what he saw as capitalism. And capitalism, it could work. It could work very well. But the problem that we have is that the corporations got mad at the people. That's the rich people. The rich people who own the rich people own the corporations. The people that got so much money they can never even count it and shit. I mean, they got so many billions of dollars and shit hidden places around the world. Some of these families in America and other places in Europe and stuff, like, they got so much money to you could never count it or track all of it. Those are the ones that get the most upset that their profits aren't where they should be. Like I was saying about Steve Bannon. He was complaining about Barack Obama. He wasn't mad about, he had $80 million in his checking account. He admitted that. And he wasn't mad about that he didn't have any money. He was mad that the return on his money wasn't the same as his grandparents. It wasn't multiplying at the same rate. That's what he was mad about. Because he thought that Barack Obama was going to take the state capital and divert some of it away from the corporations and start giving it to black people and poor people. Now, so back to global communism. So global communism is white supremacy. The flow of state capital is white supremacy. It's global communism. It's fascism. It's corporate socialism. Okay. So the corporations are smart. A lot of people that run those corporations, they're just smart people. I mean, and they want to maintain their power. And they're white males. And the white male, if you really think about it, the white male is the one that complains the most about everything. They cry about every goddamn thing. They could be, wallowing in money, gold up to their neck. They could be eating ambrosia, have the most beautiful women, have the biggest houses, biggest cars. The sun shines on them every day, and they will still fucking complain. Why is that? You see what I'm saying? That's mental. That's, like you said, capitalism is a system of mental illness. Matter of fact, there's a joke told by Franco Collins. He said the elites of the world, the 1%. He said they're so deranged that they all really need to be in straitjackets in a padded cell. He said, but instead they run the world. So Ronald Reagan, who was, he was mentally, you don't remember? Now people say that, Reagan, like the white people, like the white male, he'll say that Reagan is our greatest president, and that, Reagan's going to get us back to a republic. This is a democratic republic. If it was just a republic, then what? See, if it was just a republic, that's what they want, because that's how basically the country was founded, as a republic. So if it's a republic, then the Senate runs. The Senate runs everything. Okay. And in a republic, the senators aren't elected; they're just appointed by the senators before them. You see, and that's how America was founded, as a republic that was founded by all white males wearing makeup, panties, tights, high heel shoes, wigs and lipstick. And the average age of the people that founded the United States was only about 23 or 4. You think those people are really mature enough to, they're not. They're still little babies and shit, okay? And you hear all this, the founders were so intellectually lofty. They were sacks of shit. All of them. I mean, but you had maybe two of them that weren't sacks of shit. I mean, like, what? Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Paine. Other than that, they were all sacks of shit. Yeah. And they were all white males with slaves, and they were trying. If you read the transcript of the Constitutional Convention, all they were trying to do, they were trying to find a way to eliminate as many rights for us as they could, while they could take advantage of things by law that we couldn't. That's what they were doing. They were trying to make it so that the white male, would be able to take advantage of things by law that everybody else couldn't. And they did it. But they would have took away every right that we had. They could. But the way it worked is they stole the system of government. They plagiarized it from the Algonquin Indians, the Algonquin system. Now, Algonquin system, okay, which encompasses the Algonquin and the Iroquois. And they got the system of government from that, along with a little bit from the Moors. And so, since they didn't really make it up, come up with it, they couldn't figure out how to eliminate everybody else's rights without eliminating them all for themselves. So they wanted to keep some for themselves. So they came up with all this bullshit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and all that dumbass shit. What the fuck does that shit mean? It don't mean nothing. See what I'm saying? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's that Martin Luther King type bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I love Martin Luther King, but I can't sit and listen to that bullshit. That's that Barack Obama type crap, you know. Hope and change. That's that Oprah type shit, you know what I mean? I can't sit and listen to that crap. I don't want to know what the fuck is really going on. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, I mean, it took like a C-level psychiatrist about an hour one day to figure out that happiness is a mental illness. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever, you know. That way you feel over happy. Anyway, so they did come up with a system that basically protected white male hegemony through the corporate system. So, because back in that time when America was founded, you couldn't be a landowner unless you were a white male. You couldn't vote about anything unless you were a white male. And then they went and they had a big campaign to make sure that it was even compulsory. You had to make sure that every white male had a gun. So see, that's your real Second Amendment. It's tied to every white male has a gun. Why? Well, let's put the obvious in there. I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious, isn't it? So because the way they see it, they're so guilty about what they've done until they figure like everybody has to think like them. So they figure like the stuff that we've done to people are going to do it to us. So if we don't have guns, then they'll get us. Because like, for instance, like George Washington. George Washington is probably in the top 5 most evil people that ever lived. How's that? Because George Washington became the richest person in the United States. And the way he did it was, as he would gather up groups of white males with their compulsory guns, and they were called militias. And they would go into Indian territories, and they would find the tribal leaders, and they would tell them that basically we're coming to take your land from you. And they would be like, what? Yeah, we're just coming to take this shit. But we got guns and you don't. Then they would kill a couple people to let them know that you don't have the strength to withstand us, to defend yourself against us. And then if the Indians protested or whatever, they would slaughter some more people, and then the Indians would get the message and just shut up, and then then they would show back up and survey the land and parcel it up and give it out to white people. And sell it to white people. And that's how George Washington became the richest person in the United States. By murdering Indians. So, Ronald Reagan, Dr. Reagan, was Reagan a worse person as a human being than George Washington? Absolutely. Reagan despised black males. And the reason why he despised black males is because his wife, Nancy, was cuckolding with black men. She would have sex with black men and then tell him about it and shit. And it was like a twofold thing, whereas it turned him on because he got some big nigger fucking his wife, but at the same time, it made him it caused extreme hatred because he's ashamed of the fact that shit turned him on, and hatred because he feels like he's not able to pleasure his wife sexually as well as a black male too. And so he conducted his assault on the black male. So he got the CIA to distribute drugs into the black communities, and then they make up all these extreme laws that punishes the black male for selling the drugs that Reagan put the government up to putting in their community in the first place. Okay, that's how evil he was. I mean, if you take Ronald Reagan's name, Ronald Wilson Reagan, so Ronald is 6 letters, Wilson 6 letters, Reagan 6 letters. He's the 666. He's the skull and bone. In the negative Illuminati system, Reagan is the devil. Okay, and so that's his job, and he's the head of the Satanist league. And what does Satanism really mean? What is it? You have all this, the devil 666 and all this kind of shit. Satanism at its core is simply this. It's the use of knowledge that gives me an advantage over you that you have no privilege to, that I know everything about. And it works. I keep it a secret and I use it on you. I keep you in the dark. So Satanism is keeping others in the dark with an unfair advantage for knowledge that enlightens me about something that you don't have. That's Satanism 101. That's all Satanism is. So Reagan dismantled the labor unions, and so by dismantling the labor unions, that gave the corporations, who are now ran by white males, of course, the opportunity and capability to just fire black men at will. And although we had this thing called the Wagner Act, which from 1934, which explicitly enables free association in the workplace. In other words, by federal law, it enables people to organize in the workplace and have labor unions, so that they can't be taken advantage of by the corporations that are ran by white males. And so Reagan didn't, they weren't going to be able to overturn that law. So what the Reagan administration just did was got in the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal and just basically let everybody know, even though it's a law, we're not going to enforce it. So the corporations just went on a spree, just firing black males left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. So many black males lost their jobs because during Ronald Reagan, they ain't even no words to even explain the shit, And then Reagan was the worst fiscal president ever. He just was a terrible human being, just a terrible person and a terrible human being, terrible president as well, and terrible for the economic system. And then so we're taught that Reagan was a great president. He wasn't. He fucking sucked dick. Period. And so the corporations, they love stuff like that. Though. They love stuff like Ronald Reagan. They like Donald Trump. It's just that Trump is just so boisterous till he's an embarrassment to him, because Trump does what they want done, but Trump makes it obvious where it's coming from. Like, for instance, when he took the Bible, walked across the street from the White House, and then they claimed that he used the National Guard to shoot protesters or whatever, which is bullshit. Remember, he stood in front of St. John's Episcopal Church with a Bible. He turned it around, then he flipped it upside down. And then right back of him was St. John's Episcopal Church. So he's showing you where the inversion takes place. He's showing you where the inversion takes place. It's the Episcopalian. He's telling you the Episcopalians run the United States. So if you say, well, who would be the most prominent Episcopalians in that regard? That would be the Bush family. They're Episcopalian. They're American royalty. They're the oil barons and all that. So they have every interest. And I mean, do I think George Bush himself is a bad person? No. I just think that they work in a system that serves power first. It serves white male hegemony first, because they're sincere. They believe this shit for real. They're not just blowing smoke up your ass. They really believe it, but they're not correct. But like Noam Chomsky said, he said what people do is this. He says it's awfully hard to just get up and lie and murder people. He says so what people do is they find a concept that serves their own self-interest, and then through repetition they convince themselves that concept is correct, and then they perceive after that as if the lie is the truth. That's simple psychology. And so people in that class of George Bush, like stuff like that, they're taught how to rule from birth. They're taught to how to be royalty from birth. While you and me are going to school to learn how to one day be in our career or whatever, they go to school and they get these secret societies in their schools, and then they learn the real stuff, of how to rule. And so that's what the corporations do. They dumb down the world through the education system. You know that. All you got to do is watch Charlotte Iserbyt's videos. She was assistant Secretary of Education. She wrote several books about it. I don't agree with everything she says, but pretty much she explains that the dumbing down educationally of American citizens is deliberate. It was actually an actual plan. And you see that to be true. Now what do we got now? We've got a preponderance of state-funded, charter schools. So you got private schools for profit, state-funded. So that's state capitalism for private profit. That's communism. You got state-funded capitalism, state funds for corporations, and then the corporations get private profit. That's communism. So if state funding goes to the people, to the poor people, to the black people, then the corporations have it built into their media system that everybody just cries, socialism, socialism, socialism. But when they get state funding for their ventures, same thing, it's welfare, to us, all it is. They're the job creators. But it's state capital, which means that your tax dollars. So that means they're not the job creators. You're the job creator. But, so, Chris had just said that at this point, the corporations have rendered us, the American citizenry, impotent. And so, that's true, because there's no way to get out of capitalism at this point. You're not getting out of it. It's too embedded in the setup. Capitalism is the operating system. So what's the solution? The solution is the augmentation of state capital flow. that some of that state capital, it don't have to be all of it, just some of that state capital, trillions and trillions of dollars, that goes to feed the corporate system, that's the white male system, has to go to the people. That's, you know. And you see the corporate attack on the corporation, the white males that run the corporations right now are really, really, really mad at the white woman. I mean, they are so mad at the white woman, they don't know what to do. Why? Because they have all this money, they have all the power, and they can't get the white woman to act right. I mean, behind the scenes, it's an epidemic of being an incel. That's an involuntary celibate. In other words, that's no woman to give you any pussy. You got to go buy it and shit. A normal girl to just go out with a normal chick or whatever. You know, if you want these motherfuckers that, you know, these arrogant ass white motherfuckers, you know, I run a hedge fund, I have billions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. And they still can't get no pussy from a regular girl. They got to go pay for something and shit from a hooker and shit. Or they got to have a party with dope and all this kind of shit. And that's the only way to get women to come to the party. And you know, then they gonna make, you know, pay them thousands of dollars to strip and blah 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 blah. But that's not true love. See, everybody wants true love, right? But the white man, the white woman, is sick of the white man. And she figured it out. So she's castrating. And how do you know that? Joseph Campbell, who was the world's foremost expert on archetype and myth before he died, former Columbia University professor, he wrote books. You know, The Power of Myth, The Hero's Journey, blah, blah, blah. He said that the archetype for modern man is Orestes. Orestes is an obvious epithet for Osiris. Osiris was what? Caught by his brother, Seth, Satan, the garden, cut up into 14 pieces and scattered all over Egypt. His wife, Isis, couldn't find all the pieces. She found everything, but she couldn't find his dick. So she fashioned him a golden phallus and attached it to him. See? And that's what the corporations hate the most. The white men that run the corporations, they can't control the women. So that's why the assault on abortion is such a big deal to them. Oh well, let's use our corporate influence to influence people in the media that we need to get rid of Roe versus Wade, because that by law makes the white man in charge of the white woman's body. See? So if the white man could, he would outlaw interracial marriage, but he can't. He's not going to be able to get that one done. Okay, he would like to, but there's a saying that goes: when the dragon is about to die, its tail flails most violently. And that's about the case with the white man and the white man's power. Because if the women are going to cut your dick off and castrate you, you have no chance whatsoever to survive. So white supremacy has zero chance to survive. But as it goes out, it's going to try to hurt as many of us as it can, because that's how that system is. It's the system of mental illness and alienation. Violence. You know, like the 5 major archetypes, negative archetypes in the general media are rape, pedophilia, transsexualism, the integration of pornography themes into everyday life, along with the dumbing down of the general world. They even said it, that their accepted weapon against us, this is the corporate oligarchy, they even said it, that their accepted weapons are fear and technology. So they'll use the media to scare the fuck out of you, and then they'll use the technology to surveil you and to program you and to manipulate your mind. Because they figure, like, if they can control the input data to your mind, then they can predict the outcome. Which there's a lot of truth to that. It's not completely 100% accurate, but it's in the high 90s accurate. So corporations are not job creators. The people are job creators. You're the job creator. The white male really has no chance to. I mean, They only got about, and they know it too, they only got about 70 more years in power. And they know it. And the way you know that is because there's all these UFOs that keep coming to the planet that are way better and way faster and way more powerful than the technology, the highest military technology that we have on the planet. And there's nothing that they can do about it. So if you have invaders coming to your planet and you can't stop them or do anything about them, at some point they're going to do something about you, because they're the thing those invaders are the most concerned about are the nuclear weapons. What does that tell you? See? If that's the case, see, and they keep letting them know that's the case, and these motherfuckers keep building nuclear weapons and shit, at some point those invaders are going to do something about that. And there's nothing, not one thing, no deal, nothing. There's not one thing that the white male can do about it. And he knows it. Nothing. So the way he looks at it is, well, since they're going to stop me and destroy me, I'll just destroy you. So you know, if they're going to give me problems and they're not going to let me rule the world in my fascist communist way, I'll just destroy you. But the Tibetan lamas put it best. They said that there's a saying amongst the Tibetan lamas that once global communism is completely in effect and the sides are clear, it'll be crushed. Yeah. So, you know, and then the Hopi said it too. They're like, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And then somebody just blew up the Georgia Guidestones. That dumbass shit. You know, that's the stupidest shit in the world. Georgia fucking Guidestones. And a piece of shit bullshit. You know, if you go to this corporation, they always want you to read Sun Tzu, The Art of War, Machiavelli, The Prince. Them two of the stupidest fucking books ever written. I read them both. I read the fucking Sun Tzu's Art of War when I was 10 years old. Machiavelli, The Prince when I was about 14. And to me, there's two of the stupidest fucking books ever written in my life. I mean, ever written in the world. I mean, they're as dumb as Ayn Rand's books. You know, I mean, Ayn Rand was, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, she's a -1, you know, and you know, but the white male loves Ayn Rand, you know, no welfare for the people, you know, that kind of shit. It's self-determination, and you know, but Ayn Rand died on welfare, state welfare. See, so. You know, it's fucked up time. It's a glorious time to live because, you know, the white male is in the middle of trying to punish everybody for everything, as well as maintain his control, and they're confident at what they do, and they know what the fuck they're doing. But there's an old saying that goes, in the absence of compromise, the greater force prevails. And them UFOs that keep coming to the planet, that's the greater force, and they can't do anything about it, and those are going to prevail. See? So they got about 70 more years. 2100 is when the new procession starts. And then when that happens, it's over for them completely, because that's when